Welcome to another edition of Community Grant. I'm Grant Nelson for Thief River Falls Radio, and we're with Dave Hodek, who is the spread manager for spreads 1A and 1B of the Line 3 pipeline for Enbridge Energy. Dave, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's a little bit chilly today, but it's January in Thief River Falls, so I'm doing good. Thanks for having us on, Grant.
You bet. Let's start out with that then. It's seasonably probably a little bit warmer than it typically would be. Now, the fellas who are working on the pipeline, a lot of them are local, probably about a half of them are local or so, but there are some from out of the area. Do you hear back from any of them what they think of our Minnesota weather, or do they think they can't believe that it's this nice up here?
Yeah, that's been it so far. Is they can't believe it's been this nice. So we've been trying to tell them that January is coming. I feel like something from Game of Thrones. We keep telling them winter is coming, and and it is. And I think it started to arrive here. But what's really helped us too is we do hire over. I think it's over half the folks on the project are local, and we know they're used to the weather and everything, and they can kind of help out some of the folks that are from down south. We get people from out west or out east that are used to cold temperatures too, so that also helps.
I know a lot of the workers who are here were already living here probably because they were working on the North Dakota portion, but there's some who've moved in, some are living in campers, and I just wonder about how's that going for them? How do they get television and out there and all that sort of thing, or are they just so busy that just use it to sleep and that's about it?
Well, there's a fair amount of that. I've got television. I usually end up sleeping in front of it in my place. But no, they and I can't speak to all the each campground is a little bit different as far as what they've got for amenities and everything. But I can kind of speak to my experience where I was living. I lived in a camper out in North Dakota for when we were building a project out there, and we did have I did have TV. A lot of the campers have satellite. I didn't. I just had an antenna, kind of like the one I've got now. I think I bought it at Hardware Hank here. So you just, you can do the over-the-air antenna if you're close enough in town. Otherwise, some of them will have satellite and stuff like that.
Can you tell me a little bit about the pipeline itself? First off, how deep is the pipe, and maybe tell us a little bit about the pipe itself, how thick it is.
Sure. So the pipe itself, our regular cross-country pipe is about just over half an inch thick. So it's 0.515 inches. We use heavier wall pipe underneath road crossings just to account for and we also bury it deeper to account for heavier traffic loads of trucks and things like that. So that's actually 0.6 of an inch thick, so 0.6 inches. And then underneath our major river crossings or our where we use directional drills, that's about 0.75 of an inch thick, so it's 0.75 wall. As far as burial depth goes, generally we average about 48 inches deep, just going across country. We're a little bit deeper under roads, and that kind of depends on the road and ditch authorities. What they'd like us to be. I don't think it's ever less than about 5 feet or so, and generally it's more. It's according to whatever's in those permits. And then across agricultural lands too. Minnesota does have a state statute of, I think, 54 inches deep. Generally we try to meet or exceed that too. And then obviously it's deeper under our big river cross.
Let's talk about directional boring. I think most people who have any kind of contact with pipeline installation is probably at the directional boring site where you're going underneath.
There's actually two different types of boring that we'll use. Most of our road bores, you dig a hole basically like you described, Grant, on either end. And the pipe is augured through horizontally, and that's where most people see it, is at a lot of the road crossings that we end up doing that. Or we've got to cross big features like we did with I-29 in North Dakota, or the Red River, the Clearwater, the Red Lake, some of the rivers that we have in the area here. That's when we'll use what's called a horizontal directional drill, and that one it almost instead of being horizontal underneath the feature, it's almost like a parabola. It's a bigger version of what you see parked along roadways for telecommunications kind of installation. Those little Vermeer directional rigs. This is just a monster size one with like a million pounds of pull on it.
Can we talk a little bit about the machines themselves when they're left overnight? I mean, it's been pretty cold outside. Do you leave them on at night, or if not, how do you warm them up in the morning? I've always wondered.
Yeah, so some of them will have block heaters, and we'll have generators and light plants up by some of those. And some of them, when it does get really cold, and we've had a few of those mornings, then we will have to have them running, but we try to minimize that as much as possible.
And right now you're working on 2 spreads, 1A and 1B. And that's about 100 miles, right?
That's right. Yep. We're basically spread out from the North Dakota, a little bit in North Dakota on the that side of the Red River down to about between Trail and Gully over near Clearbrook.
Dave, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you'd like to add before I let you go?
And this isn't the first time that we or even I have been based out of Thief River Falls building, and it's great being back in town. The reception is fantastic. People are very friendly and welcoming, and I've heard that from a lot of the workers out here. So I just want to say thanks to the community.
Dave Hodek from Enbridge Energy. He's the spread manager for 1A and 1B for Line 3 construction. And thanks for joining us, Dave. This has been another edition of Community Grant. I'm Grant Nelson for Thief River Falls Radio.